Jeff, I really appreciate your patience. You've been on hold for almost a whole show. Great to have you here, sir.
Russ, I'd wait a lot longer than that to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It seems like every day these days you're talking about jobs and where are the jobs in the economy. I haven't heard you say anything except lower taxes, smaller government to create jobs. And I heard that the overall tax collection of the federal government today is lower than it was under Reagan. I'm thinking to myself that we had 8 years of Bush with his low taxes. Obama's stimulus package, 1/3 of it was tax cuts. So we've got lower taxes today than we even had underneath George Bush. The government has to do something to create jobs. There's too many people without jobs. And I'm thinking, I remember the bridge that went down in Minnesota. There were all sorts of reports back then about tens of thousands of bridges that need repair. Here in Kentucky, we've got mountaintops that have been lopped off to get at the coal underneath, and they all need to be remediated. Superfund sites all across the country that need to be cleaned up. We've got things that we can do to put people to work. And I'll tell you, Rush, I heard one of your interstitials. They talked about, people taking student loans to go to college to make their lives better. How is borrowing to go to college to make your life better any different than investing in this country by borrowing today to make bridges better, or the electrical grid, so we don't suffer through huge blackouts that cost our economy, or student loans so that this country can compete with the rest of the world? I mean, I really haven't heard any plan from you that hasn't been tried for the last 10 years now. And like I said, taxes are lower now than they were underneath Reagan.
No,
so
they're not.
It's
not. That's just absurd. And to say that 1/3 of the stimulus was tax cuts is equally as uninformed. And to suggest that all these infrastructure projects exist, we had a stimulus bill of $787 billion designed to fix all of those. Not a single dime went to any of them. It all went to state and local government employees. We all know this now. The government cannot create jobs. The government can only destroy wealth. The government cannot create it. The government doesn't produce diddly squat. You cannot grow an economy by taking money from one segment of it and transferring it to another. That's not growth. That's simply redistribution. And generally, it rewards people who aren't doing anything, so there's no productivity whatsoever. I frankly am at a total loss to understand where you're even coming from on this.
I think I made it pretty clear. I mean,
but you might be clear, but you are not right about anything that you said. Is painfully obvious.
Well, first of all, I think you're mistaken when you say 1/3 of the stimulus package wasn't tax cuts. It was. Republicans insisted on it. Obama worked with the Republicans, said, hey, listen, I won the election. I've got these huge majorities, but I'm still going to give you 1/3 of the stimulus.
Really? Would you explain to me where those tax cuts were? I mean, what kind of tax cuts were they?
There were incentives for businesses to hire and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, listen, I'm not a tax lawyer. I'm not a tax guru.
I want to know, give me the tax cuts. Tell me what they were, what the policy was, whose rates were cut, what kind. Don't talk about tax credits. Don't talk about. I mean, I want genuine tax cuts.
Russ, I seriously have confidence in you, and I'm sure that if you did the little Google thing, you could see what these tax cuts were just as easily as I could.
No, because they don't exist. But it's not up to me to find it. It is up to you. Claim to know that they happened. You therefore have to show me. Because
it's common knowledge, but I don't have every detail at my fingertips. But let's go back to your other claim.
It's not common knowledge. And by the way, a lot of people in student loans are questioning, maybe they have thrown away a lot of money because none of them can find any jobs. They've got so much debt now that even if they find decent jobs, they're not going to be able to pay back the loans for so many years that it might not make it cost effective to have done it in the first place.
Well, I'll agree with you that education has been way too expensive, and I think that is a government problem. When they make student loans available, colleges just charge more to swallow up more money without delivering jobs in the end or a better life for people in the end. I graduated law school, and I'm looking at $150,000 in student loans, and can't find a job that will allow me to live comfortably and pay those back.
Okay, so then why then would a similar kind of borrowing for the government work.
Well, again, if you don't have blackouts, you don't lose billions of dollars of economic production. If you clean up Superfund sites, you're putting people to work and giving them a paycheck. They can go out and support local businesses and all the rest.
Well, why didn't
When you're all
Obama do
done,
this?
You've got land that can be repurposed and used for economic production.
Why didn't Obama do any of this then? He
Because
was
I think-
given
well,
almost
I'll
$1
tell you why.
trillion
That's-
to do all this stuff with. Why did he do it?
Because he fell for the Republican trap, saying give states control of what they're going to do. So he did allow the states to.
He fell
spend
for the
money.
Republican
A lot of the
trap.
states had Republican governors, and they spent money on crony capitalism the way they always do.
Do you really believe what you've said to me in this call?
I believe every
you-
word of what I
do
said.
you-
I
no,
think
no.
a lot of states were facing budget problems, and they decided to patch over budget holes
do you really
instead of
believe
actually spending the money.
No, do you really believe that government can create jobs and grow us out of recession? Do you really believe that 1/3 of the stimulus was tax cuts? Do you really
entire South is run
believe
by the Tennessee-
that tax rates and tax collections today are lower than they were during Reagan? Do you really believe tax policy is less punitive than it was under? Do you really believe these things?
Russ, I believe every word I said. I believe that the Tennessee Valley Authority, a government program, powers large swaths of the South. I believe that the percentage of GDP collected in taxes today
What is it
lower
like?
than it was under Reagan.
What is it like? So I can't relate. What is it like?
Oh, so you really are off OxyContin.
See, what is it like to go through life being so wrong about everything? I can't relate. What is it like to go through life believing drivel and bilge? What is it like to be so uninformed and to be happy about it? What is it like for you to get up every day and be so ignorant and to believe such poppycock? These kinds of people, ladies and gentlemen, are why the country faces the great challenge it faces. It is people like this that we have to overcome. They can't be counted on to help us recover from this mess because they are creating it with their ignorance and their lack of being informed. They've just made the work even harder.